All right, welcome to Team Zoom, you guys. We have Jocelyn Yates. Like, big freaking deal. We do these Team Zooms every single Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're on my team, make sure that you're plugging your people into this as well and hopping on yourself because it's like a training essentially every Sunday, and it's super cool. And for those of you who don't, hold on, let me mute somebody. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Jocelyn is a huge deal. I had a lot of comments on my announcement in my team page. Lot of comments that were like, oh my God, my girl crush. And I was like, I know, same here. So we're pretty geeked to hear from you, Jocelyn. And she's an ambassador diamond, you guys. So like get your note paper out and start taking notes. But Jocelyn, if you just want to like dive in, tell us who you are, what you did prior to It Works, and a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so ignore the mess behind me. This is what moving looks like. But for those of you that don't know me, Jocelyn Yates, as she mentioned, I found this business when I was 19 years old. That was in 2013. It's crazy. But I was at a bridal expo, actually. I wasn't even engaged at the time, but I was modeling wedding dresses. In between the fashion shows, I ended up entering all of the free drawings at the expo because what else are you going to do, right? So about a week later, I get a phone call from a lady and she says, hey, you didn't win, but you can still try one for $5 off. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, what is it? She told me what it was. And when she basically told me that it was going to make me skinnier, I wanted it. I was already a size 4. I was 19. Like, I was in good shape, but something that was going to get rid of fat and make me skinnier, I wanted to try. And it was $20. She only charged me 20. So you can't play computer. So tried the wrap. A couple weeks later, took pictures, measured. 45 minutes later, measurements were the same. My pictures, I looked a little bit fitter. And then 3 days later, I had huge measurable results. I always tell people that it was like I went from feeling like I had to suck in to look good in a dress to not having to suck in at all anymore. So from there, I was obsessed. Like, I was just like, I want more for myself. I told my mom, my sister, I was like, you guys need this. I told some friends, and that was about it. Like, I would just bought more for myself. I was buying retail. I didn't even know about the customer program or the distributor. Like, she didn't tell me anything. I was just like, I want some more wraps for 20. And so she kept giving them to me. I probably made her between myself, and then she invited me to a party, and she said, hey, if you bring 4 friends, I'll give you a wrap for free. And I was obsessed, so I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I bring 4 people with me, get my free wrap, and between me and all the other people that I brought, we made her like $300 in cash in one night. And so then finally after this party, she's like, hey, why don't, instead of you making me all this money, you sign up to make this money on your family and friends? And I kind of just said, sure, why not? Like, that's literally what it was. Looking back, it's crazy the timeline in my life. I was a college student. I was a full-time nanny. I had a part-time photography business. I had a friend who was actually in another network marketing company, but that company that she had talked me into joining was $600 to join, which I didn't have. So I had been saving up. I think I had about $200 or $300 in my savings at the time. Man, I just found food in her shorts. But anyways, so I had been saving up for that, didn't have the money for it. And then when she mentioned that I could join this, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I ended up joining, buying one of the mini booster kits, paid less than $300 in my first month and a half, just from retail customers, loyal customers, and selling all of the products that I had on hand. I made over $800 in my first month and a half. My first commission check was only $44, however. And then from watching trainings, I thought I knew what I was doing, and they always said this is residual income, so that means that you do the work once and you get paid over and over and over and over and over again, and you don't have to do anything else, and you're just going to keep making that money, right? Well, kind of, except for I forgot the fact that that next commission check that I had that was $500, half of that was retail, and those customers, I wasn't talking to them, so after 3 months, what did they do? Mm-hmm. So gradually that $500 that I made that first month, or because I joined in the middle of March. So that first paycheck was $44. The next one was about $500. Paid as distributor. And So that 500 went from 500. A couple months later, I think it was like August or September, it was about maybe $50. And I was still on auto shipment because I loved the products. And I remember when I was looking at joining, like I was still college student, single, living at home. And so both of my parents, when I told them I was going to join, they kind of just like, you know how parents do that whole like, well, we don't think you should do this, but we're going to support you no matter what you do, but don't do it. They told me I'd never make my money back. So in August, my mom was like, why are you still doing that? You're not making any money. And I just remember like having that stupid, like trying to pretend that I wasn't wrong face. Like, well, yeah, I am. And so I was like, okay, I've got to prove her wrong. It's just one of those things kids have to do. So I knew, let's see. Yeah, at this point, there was one thing that I knew, and that it was that people kept saying that if you show up, you go up. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to show up because what else am I going to do? So I live in a small town called St. George, Utah. Well, it's not that small anymore, but you guys don't know what, I've never heard of it, so it's small enough. But I live about an hour and a half north of Las Vegas. I would drive 2 hours down to Vegas and through town to get to a training or a 1-team-1 mission that they would do. And in one of these trainings that I showed up to, because back then, like, people did not work the business on social media. Like, it was all in person. So I showed up to this training. Stephanie Dunn was there. She's my enroller's direct upline. So that's how, that's my upline. But anyway, so Stephanie's at this training. At the time, they had a $500 cash bonus if you completed your steps to success. Pretty cool, right? But kind of like how the Ruby bonus was, or kind of like how the guarantee is, honestly. But so the bonus was $500 if you completed your steps to success in a month, which means you're commission qualified, you get your 4 customers, you sign your 3 distributors, and you get those distributors fast start qualified. So I remember when that bonus came out, I was like, I cannot sign distributors. Like, do you know how sometimes when a promotion comes out and it's so far beyond where you are or like what you've ever done or feel like you're capable of that you immediately like don't even consider it as an option because you're like, there's no way I can even do that. Like it wasn't even an option to try because I thought it was too hard. But I remember going to this training, Stephanie's going around asking everybody what their goals are. I have a pageant background. I did pageants when I was a teen. And I remember one thing like in interviews, and this can help you in any type of interview, but is to always make sure that you stand out from everybody else or else they're not going to remember you, which obviously in pageants is very important. And so I was like, I want Stephanie to remember me. And so everybody's going around she's asking them what their goals are. And they're like, oh, I want to get that $500 steps to success bonus. And so I was like, okay, I've got to be different. I didn't believe that I could get that bonus anyway. So I said I wanted to get the $600 loyal customer bonus. And since I had already, you know, at one point in my first like month and a half, gotten over 1,000 in group volume with customers, I was like, I could probably do that. So that's what I told her my goal was, is to get the loyal customer bonus. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And so at that point, that's when I knew, like, okay, maybe I should listen to this lady that knows what she's talking about. No clue what she taught at that training, but I remember leaving that training just thinking, okay, she thinks that I could do this business, so why don't I just shoot for the steps to success and see what happens? And if I fall short, who cares? But I'm just gonna like push towards it. I think like a few weeks later, my upline and I did an expo. From the leads in that expo and following up, I ended up getting all the customers that I needed. I signed up 2 distributors. And then my boyfriend at the time, Taylor, I signed him up as a distributor for my 3rd distributor. And then I got the customers under him that way. And then one other thing also at that same time that I was showing up to, back then we didn't have Zooms or YouTube videos. We just had conference calls. And so there was this lady in Stephanie's, this doesn't even exist anymore, but she used to have this like small team page of like 1,000 people. This is way back then, but this was before she was number 1. But I was in her team page and this one lady posted and she's like, yeah, I've been doing my steps to success once a week on Instagram. And you know what, so I have this recording of this call on my YouTube. It's really interesting to listen to because I ask a question on there. I didn't say who I was, so you kind of have to know my voice to hear me. But the other person that was on that call because they were intrigued was Jade Hooper, and that's where we both learned how to use Instagram. So it's kind of cool. But showed up to that, learned Instagram, and I almost quit Instagram because it was slow. I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. But I didn't, and I kept going even though I wasn't, like, nobody was signing up the first, like, month. And then once December hit, after I got that $500 bonus, I started using Instagram consistently. I went through this phase of, like, being so nervous and afraid of what other people would think of me. My first color personality is yellow, which you don't expect. You'd think it'd be red. But I've always been, like, that shy personality type. And so, one day my brother said, hey, Jocelyn, like, nobody wants to see belly pictures on their Facebook, so don't post about it. And I stopped. I was so afraid of what other people thought of me. And I don't even know who I was afraid of, but just everybody, I guess. And I know so many people can relate to that. So I started a new Instagram with 0 followers. And now that account has 33,000 today. But and that's my biggest one, but all of my Instagrams have at least 8,000 followers. But started with 0 followers, and I didn't post on Facebook until I went diamond. Like, I was so afraid of what people thought, which is so stupid. I wish I could go back and change that. But so I did the steps to success that first time. I made $500, got that bonus. But there's something crazy that I noticed. So where'd your Minky go? Between doing the steps to success and getting those 3 fast start bonuses, plus the commissions that I made, not including that $500 bonus, I made over $500 just from the fast starts and the commissions. And I kind of like had this aha moment, like, oh my gosh, I just made $500 outside of this bonus just by doing the steps to success. So what if I just did the steps to success again? Would I make another $500? And so that next month I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna make that my goal. And I did it again, and I made another $500. And then I was like, okay, I'm onto something. And so then I had no clue how to chart. Like, I mean, I didn't even know what a fast start bonus was. That's so stupid. But it wasn't until that bonus came out that I've learned. So I learned, doing the steps to success was what I needed to do to make money. And I had no clue how to chart. So literally every time I signed up a distributor, I called Stephanie, sent her a picture of my chart and said, all right, what do I do? Like, where do I put this person I just signed up? And then I remember, like, as I was charting to diamond, eventually it just clicked. And I was like, all right, I don't need your help anymore. I got it, figured it out. But it took me 9 months to promote to executive, 11 months to ruby, and 1 year to diamond. And then I went from diamond to presidential diamond in a year. But it's kind of cool because I went, diamond in March, April, May, June, July. My husband promoted in July, so 4 months later. He was my emerald. And then August, I went double. So that's almost a year and a half to double. And then I promoted to triple the month before my 2-year mark. And then I went from triple to presidential in 1 month, which I think is really cool now because I'm like, man, that's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
I had no clue. I just had so much momentum. I had no idea it was that big of a jump. I just did it.
Yeah.
And then I went from presidential to ambassador the year after that. So 3 years to ambassador. And my husband was my highest level. Like, when I went ambassador, he was my presidential. And it's crazy too, just adding this part to my story. When I met my husband, like, so I joined in March. We met in the middle of July, and he was like, thought this was dumb. And I remember the month I went diamond before we got married. We got married in May. Isn't that crazy? We met and got married in 9 months.
That's awesome.
But in May, when we got married, he told me, like, this isn't a reliable source of income. You need to go get a real job. And sorry. I obviously did not listen to him. Will you just put that in and keep it there? And, and I just remember, just real quick, because I always get this question too, because he was not supportive. Like, I have screenshots of me asking Joel for advice because he wasn't supportive. And he's like, just keep going because in 90 days you're going to be making more than him anyways. And that was true. But The three things that helped my husband, well, I'm going to say four things. The four things that really helped my husband get on board. The first one was taking the love language test together, the 5 love languages, because it made sure that I was making sure that he felt loved and that I wasn't neglecting him with working the business so much. The second thing was getting a comma in my paycheck. The third thing was having him use the products and see that they truly did work. And then the fourth thing was getting him to conference. Conference was the biggest thing. The first night we went, this is when we were double diamonds. I remember it was after the first night, so the top 100 had walked across the stage or whatever. We're in bed, I'm exhausted, and he rolls over and he's like, Jocelyn, I can't sleep. Like, I just want to do this business with you. I want to cut back on my school hours. I want to quit my job. Like, let's do this. And so conference changed everything as far as him being supportive and helping me with the business. Yeah. So that's my story in a nutshell. And my, I guess another cool part of this is new since I've been an ambassador now for like 3 years. But so after you go ambassador, they just say, hey, congratulations! Here's a brand new distributor account. Go do it again. But obviously you make all the commissions on that too. So when I started that second account, I went Ruby in my first month, and then I sat there. I sat at Ruby for like a year. Can you not? A year. I sat at Ruby for about a year, and then went Diamond, and then I lost rank. And I don't mean like lost it to Emerald, like all the way back down to distributor. And I was in such a rut on my 2.0, and just in a funk. And it's so crazy because like I just want you to know that if you've been there, if you've lost rank at one point, find one person that has experienced it before and see what they've done with their business now. And if they've taken it, lost rank all the way back down to distributor and then promoted, so can you. Mm-hmm. So I remember, hearing the stories of people losing rank to distributor and then getting it back and promoting to double. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that. I'm going to say, I'm going to go at this point, I started working it again. I was paid as a Ruby 1 month, and I was like, I'm going to take this Ruby to double diamond in a month. Didn't happen, but I maintained diamond that next month. And then I promoted it to double in January, and then it's going triple this month. So
Wow, dude, your story is so good because it's so real. Like, I didn't know that you joined when you were 19. Like, I knew you were young. Like, you're 24 then now, right?
25.
25? I was gonna say you're 24 or 25. But dude, you're so young. Like, I can't believe I'm older than you because you seem way more mature than me. So do a lot of people. But that's crazy that you joined when you were 19 and you treated this, your journey was so real. It wasn't like distributor to ambassador in 6 months, like flawless. No, like you were, I love that your journey was so real. And you had a lot of trial and error, and you had people doubting you, and you had even your now husband was like, don't think so. So I actually think I remember you kind of talking about how, I think I watched like a YouTube, she is so cute. My kids would be like obnoxious, like annoying, not cute, like annoying. So lucky you. But I think I remember on one of your YouTube videos, because I've followed you, since we joined then at like the same time, and I've followed you since I joined. And I remember you saying something about your husband not being very, supportive. And so those 4 tips, I hope somebody wrote them down because that was really good. And I know that we have people in here that needed that. But now he's at conference. I saw him in the VIP. He was walking back and forth with her, and he was hanging out and like totally just has your back. So that's just awesome. That's so awesome. And so I have because when I joined, same as you. So what month did you join again? You said?
March 2013.
So, so you joined a little bit before me. I was November of 2013. I had to think for a second. So that's crazy. And okay, and when I joined too, it was not social media. It was like you went out and you did expos and parties and you did those things. And that's how I built to triple. And so now getting on the whole like Facebook, Instagram game, it's been super fun. So can you tell us, let me mute some people. Hold on, sorry. Let me mute some people if it'll let me. Okay, there we go. I had one specific question for you. Okay, real quick. On the way to ambassador, I know you said 3 years to ambassador, so I already know the answer to this, but I want you to talk about it. Did you have people quit?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. Talk about that.
Yeah. So when I went diamond, the 2 people that stayed on in my business when I promoted to ambassador was my husband and one other girl who's not even in the business anymore. So, you know, sometimes the people that get you to diamond are not the people that get you to triple. Sometimes they're not the same people at double. It happens. You know, I think one thing that is really awesome to look up is Jim Rohn, and he talks about like the sower, like the parable of the seeds in the Bible. He talks about how that relates to our business. I would definitely recommend that. If you've had people quit and you're just like, why are they quitting? Like, what am I doing wrong? You need to listen to that. I think you could probably just YouTube it. But anyways, so it's, how do I phrase this?
Well, let me make, I know that I said that kind of weird. So keep your thought, but it's because I have so many I had a girl, one of my girls signed a girl who went diamond in like 2.5 months, and their team is on fire. And I know that my whole team though is like, bro, why are people quitting? And I'm like, if only you knew how normal that is and how okay that is. So that's kind of where I was basing that from. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so we don't have a ton of videos showing, but I can just imagine, like, raise your hand, how many people have ever quit a job?
Yeah, turn your videos on.
Dropped out of college. How many people dropped a class? How many people stopped playing a sport when they said they were going to and then decided, never mind, in high school, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody quits everything. It's what people do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you just can't take it personal. Take your emotions out of it. I always tell my team, take your emotion out of the outcome. But what I was going to say, it's kind of leaving me. What was it? It was really good. So signing up a distributor is like flipping over a deck of cards, right? If you had a deck of like playing cards, can you stop? I don't know why she's like tilting back. Okay, so signing up a distributor is like playing cards. You know, you turn over a card. What are the chances that you're going to turn over an ace every single time? It's not going to happen. There's only 4 aces in a deck, so you might only have 4 aces in that deck, which is that's life. That's normal. You're probably going to have some jokers that sign up and say, "Just kidding." That's normal too. It's just the numbers. It's the statistics, and the statistics are in everything, right? Like I remember, I have it somewhere on my phone because I was so intrigued with this, because everybody always asks, like, why are you so successful and so many people that we know join the business and aren't successful? And it's because they quit, right? But the statistics of how many people quit school is just the same. Like, it's such a high number. How many people quit marriages? Half of the people, right? And I think if you put it in that perspective and then just decide, you know, I look back on my journey, and even though I wasn't making very much money, especially the first couple months, I mean, I told you at one point my commissions was $50, and I was paying at least $140 for my products and my website. I was not making money at some point, but quitting was never an option. So take quitting off of the table, because if it's always in the back of your mind, like, if this doesn't work out, I can go do this. Stop. Like, if you have that in your head, you're not going to be successful. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have been successful, is because quitting has never been an option. And even still to this day, yeah, there's going to, like, as you promote, let's be real, there's going to be people that come to you with different business opportunities or whatever. But guess what? Like, if quitting's not an option, it's not going to be something that tempts you. You know, if I love this example because it's just, you'll love it too. As a mom, like, or even as a teenager, I remember like being taught that if you make a decision beforehand, then when you're in the situation, when it happens, it's easier to do what you already decided to do. As an example, if you already decide that you're never going to smoke a cigarette or take marijuana or whatever, smoke a joint, or never going to drink alcohol, then when you're at a party and somebody offers, you just know that you're going to say no. And it's you've got to have that same perspective with this business, that if somebody approaches you and says, hey, quit, it's not going to work. Hey, I've got something else that's better. If you already know you're going to say no, then you're going to be successful. And I think that's one of those things is I've made the decision beforehand that I was not going to quit, that it's not an option, that I'm going to reach my goals first. And then when I'm on a high, then I can decide if I want to do something else, right? I remember somebody once said, never make a decision when you're in the valley because you can't see the big perspective. When you're in a valley, you can't see what's over the ledge. But when you're on top, when you're like at your highest high, that's when you make decisions. It's not when you're down in the valley. I think I talked a lot about that, so I think that's pretty good.
That was so, all of that was like, so I've never heard that topic explained so well. And I remember when I first joined, like the first week that I first joined, someone, I don't know who it was, said, Kim, just take quitting off the table. And I was like, okay. And I like remember physically thinking about a table and the word quitting and just literally removing it. And I remember that the first week. And so 5.5 years later, I have never once, not once have I thought about quitting. And I love how you talked about, like, because that's so true. If it's in the back of your head, if you're always like, well, I mean, this month, like you're starting a new month thinking, okay, if this month don't work out, like it's cool because I can quit. Like that's going to hold you back from your biggest potential. Like that's so good. That is totally holding you back. So, I love that. And I think I've heard you explain the card analogy and I still freaking love it. That is so true. You know, I always say, like, if I can sign 5 distributors a month and one of those people is a rock star, I am so happy. Like, I am so happy. So what does a day in the life, because I watched you in the beginning when you were 19, 20 and you were doing your thing and you were making YouTube videos, you were, you know, had time to yourself, and now you have this. What was that?
I said, what is that?
Well, right. I don't know my life without kids now. Like I cannot remember the age of 21 and not having kids. So like now that you have this 10-month-old and you're still killing it at life, I want you to talk about like just a day in the life and maybe some non-negotiables and just things that you do for your business every day with your daughter on your hip. Literally.
Literally. Yeah. So I think the first thing I want to mention is get it out of your head that you're ever going to feel like you're balanced. You're not. Balance is a myth. If you follow Mike Patello, he says it all the time. And it's literally, it's the question everybody always asks is how do you balance being a mom, being a wife, running your business, keeping fit, eating healthy? Like how do you, like, and then you always hear Cammie say, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I like to say you can do everything that you want, but you just have to prioritize. So I'll have to send it to you, but I saw this quote on Pinterest one day, and it smacked me in the face so hard. And I share it all the time, but it smacked me in the face so hard that it made me take a look at my life and realize that I just didn't have the right priorities, right? The gist of this quote said, that instead of saying you don't have time, replace it with it's not a priority. And then it talks about how, you know, instead of saying you don't have time to go to the gym, my health isn't a priority. Instead of saying I don't have time to message 50 people, growing my business is not a priority. You know, instead of saying I don't have time to shower, my hygiene is not a priority. You know, instead of spending 30 minutes with your spouse, giving them that quality time that they need, oh, sorry, he's not a priority. When I put it in that perspective, it smacked me in the face because I realized that I was prioritizing crap. Like I was prioritizing online shopping, watching Netflix, sitting there doing nothing and wondering where the day went. So I think that was the first thing, is just make sure you know what you're prioritizing. And as you're spending your time, you're going to find out that you're prioritizing a lot of stuff that you really shouldn't be. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second thing is you've got to have those non-negotiables that you do. There's 5 things for sure that you need to do every single day. And I share this with my team all the time. Posting, adding, messaging, following up, personal development. A lot of people throw personal development under the rug because you're like, I don't think it's that important. It doesn't grow my business. However, I have noticed that it's the one thing that holds everybody back if they're not doing it. Joel Dunn said something one time that smacked me in the face. Once again, making me nervous. Okay. I remember he posted one day and I saw this, but he basically made a post and said, what did you learn this week that's going to make you a better person than you were last week? And, you know, at this point in my life, this was when my 2.0 was at distributor, and I just felt like I was at a business low. And I remember seeing that, being pregnant, having those emotions, obviously. And I just remember thinking, like, I am not happy with where my business was last week, and I did nothing to grow myself. So that means my business is going to be the same. And I wasn't happy with that. And so when I put it in that perspective, I'm not doing anything this week to make last week not happen again. That's when I knew I had to change. And I've been consistent with personal development ever since. I think it's just when you have that aha moment, like, you're right, I'm not going to grow unless I grow myself. Your paycheck is in direct proportion to your growth. You will never outgrow yourself. Okay, so I have my non-negotiables. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you have an iPhone, congratulations, because if you're not, I have no idea what you can use. But the iPhone has an app that I love. You'll see it. It's like this bottom one right here, this white one. It's called Reminders. Let me turn my thing off so you can see what it looks like. It's an iPhone app, though. It's got like the orange, the blue, and the green on it. It comes on iPhone, but you can get it in the App Store if you deleted it. Like I usually delete all the iPhone apps. I love it. So the cool thing with the reminders, instead of putting stuff like in your alarm or in your calendar, is you can't snooze it. Like you either have to do it and mark it as complete, or it stays as a notification in your phone until you complete it. Or like my calendar, I noticed like I'd follow up with somebody, but then if I wanted to go back and see who I talked to last week, it deleted all of my stuff. And so, but that, it has everything still. It has the old stuff. So every single day, like I'll read through what I have on my reminders because it helps me stay in check. 8 o'clock, message people right now. 9 o'clock, personal development. Another one at 9 o'clock, I am easily earning $167,000 monthly. 11 o'clock, did you think to pray? 1 o'clock, follow up right now. 2:35 p.m., my body is amazing at producing plentiful, nutrient-dense breast milk. 3 o'clock, I am great at earning money. I'm easily earning $167,000 a month. 5 o'clock, I am abundant. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. 6 o'clock, did you post today? 7 o'clock, I am easily earning $167,000 monthly. 8 o'clock, I am Triple Diamond 2.0. 9 o'clock, add 50 people. 10 o'clock, don't forget to journal and read scriptures. And then I've got follow-ups after that. So the cool thing with this is I can remind myself to stay positive throughout the day. I can remind myself to do my non-negotiables. If I have appointments, you can I'll show you. You can say, hey Siri, remind me to follow up with Kim tomorrow.
Okay, I want to follow up with Kim to your reminders for tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Isn't that so cool? So I love it. Anyways, reminders is everything. It helps me. And then just know, like, I just shared this with my team because I felt this like at the beginning of this month. I was like, this is the month I'm going triple diamond. I'm like 10,000 away. And so I was like, we are making it happen. I knew like that I have to sign up a ton of customers to make it happen, obviously, and helping my team. And so I knew I had to be very consistent with getting hosts to post stuff, with posting, with adding some people, with messaging. And guess what? April 1st, I did all those things and I didn't sign up any customers. April 2nd, I did all those things and I still didn't sign up customers. 3rd, 4th, 5th, didn't sign up any customers. And I was like, what the heck? You know, you kind of get frustrated because you're like, I'm literally doing everything that I can, but no customers. Like I'm following up, I'm messaging them, like people are interested, but they're not signing up. And finally, guess what? Yesterday, I signed up 8 customers, and I've signed up 3 today. So I want you to know that I'm so sorry. What did you do? I gotta stand up.
You're good.
Know that if you're doing the things that you need to do to grow your business, you will get the results. If it works for me, it has to work for you. It's not if, it's when. You know, so I tell my team, if this message that I'm sending works for me, it has to work for you. You're just not talking to enough people. And then it's also, you know, it's like farming, right? You have to get the soil ready. You've got to plant the seeds, and then you've got to tend it and take care of it every single day. You have to do the work every single day, or you're not going to have the harvest. And it's the same thing with this business. If you're consistent every single day, that's when you know that if you keep showing up and doing the things, even if you're not getting the customers you need, that they'll come. And by the way, like these customers, like over 600 personal bonus volume from all that. So
yes. And
so back to that balance thing, because I still feel like I didn't quite answer the question. If you can you not prioritize your time? That's going to be where you get stuff done. So like for me, I know I have to get up before she does, because that's my prime time to message people uninterrupted. Or when she goes down for a nap, she hasn't been sleeping until like midnight, so I don't really get a ton of work done at night anymore. But in the mornings, I get a ton of work done. It's being 100% with whatever you're doing and quit multitasking. Like we all like to say that we're like moms and we're superheroes and we can do it all, but if you stop multitasking and you focus on one thing at a time, you'll find yourself so much more productive.
Yeah, so I did not know about the reminder thing, and now that's going to change my life, because I'm very unorganized and I'm cool with that. I still am successful and I'm very unorganized. So I figured out like what works for me. And what I've realized that works for me is having a planner where I write down like, you know, how my month is about to play out and stuff like that. But then everything else, like when someone says, get a hold of me on Friday, you know, I'll order from you on Friday. I put everything in my phone, but I put it in my calendar because I know if I don't do it in my phone right now, I will forget. So so like the calendar thing, but you're right. It's like one little reminder and then it's gone. And I'm like, okay, oh crap, go crap. Good thing I just saw that. So the reminder thing is freaking brilliant. And yeah, so sorry if you guys don't have iPhone. We are so sorry for you. But that is such a good idea. And just all of that. Those were all fire tips. That was so good. And you know, I love that you talked so much about personal development, because that was and still is the game changer for me. And I've noticed that if I don't take the time, like not only does my, what is it called? My mental, it sucks. I get more irritated. I get more irritated with my distributors, with my team, with my kids. If I don't take that time with my Bible and with, you know, whatever we have going on, maybe it's a YouTube video for you, but yes, if you don't take the time for personal development, oh my gosh, you're missing out. So what are some of your, I have like 2 more questions for you. One of them is going to be, what's your favorite things to do for personal growth? And then I want to ask you a little bit about, this will be like our last question, which will be, how do you kind of get your team started? But first, what are some of your favorite, because I think that, I mean, personal development is everything. So what is some of your favorite things to do for personal development every day?
So once again, iPhone. You don't even have to have an iPhone, actually. Especially having a baby that pulls on cords. I love having AirPods, because then I can just pop them in while I'm feeding her or going about. She can't hear it, but I can still listen to something, and it's not gonna like wake her up. So, but I have Audible. I usually end up buying on average 2 books a month. I do that. I have like a big stash. Actually, in this box right here, I've got a big stash of books that I actually bought that I need to read. So I try to mix it up between like reading 20 to 30 minutes at night, a book versus Audible or whatever. So right now I'm listening to the 5-second rule, which if you are struggling with like, you know what to do, but you're not doing it, you need to listen to this book. So anyways, but I love Audible. Or honestly, if you ever look up like Jim Rohn or Tom Big Al Schreider, he's not somebody that we mention a lot, but he's a really old, like he's an old guy in the industry, and he has the best training for like recruiting tips and what to say and everything like that. So if you feel like you're lacking the skills on like how to talk to people in network marketing, you need to listen to Tom Big Al Schreider. And then I'm just gonna throw in like, I remember this hit me so hard one time when Pam, you know, getting a coaching call from Pam, like I just wasn't happy. This was like 3 years ago or so. I don't even remember. Getting a coaching call from Pam because I was really unhappy with where my business was. And I was telling her like all these things, and I was just like, this is going wrong. Like, this is not what I want it to be, like this and that and this and the other. And I remember Pam said, and that's exactly what you want. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I don't want this stuff. That's why I'm asking for your help. Like, I need some coaching, right? And then she said, no, like everything that you say, everything that you think, add the words, and that's exactly what I want. And that's when I decided that it was really important to take claim of my thoughts. And that's why in my reminders, I'd have those affirmations and those visualization tools and techniques, is because if you don't keep your mind right, it's not going to be right. Like, you know, there's a reason why we teach our kids the story of the little engine that could. Because if he said, I don't think I can, he wouldn't have. So just realize, even if you just do that, you'll have the most amazing results. I remember, you know, before I had hit 10,000 in 1 month, that was my goal. I was like, I want to hit 10,000 a month. It seems like crazy. Like, I haven't been there. It's been hard. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to decide, and I'm not going to alter from that. And so every single day, like, I would just say 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And then, you know, the devil creeps in, and you just get like these negative thoughts. Like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, 10,000 is so much. And I said, no, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And I would correct my thoughts. Like, I remember being very deliberate about making sure that I was fixing my thoughts. And I remember that was literally the only time I ever opened up my paycheck and cried, just because it was over 10,000. It was like 11 something, but it was because I was so consistent that month of saying, no, it's going to be 10,000, even though I had them without.
Yeah. Yep. So like sorry, I didn't know if you were done or not. So I was like, wait, pause. Okay. So, that has been, I mean, I found God with this business, so that's been the coolest part of this business for me. But the second coolest thing has been controlling my thoughts. I remember when I first started, and one of my best friends said to me, she doesn't really do the business anymore, but she was like, she sent me a picture. This is not a joke. I'll never forget it. It was like a couple months into the business. She sent me a picture that said, I dare you to stop complaining. And it was like a thing going around Facebook, and it was like a challenge. Like, I literally dare you to stop complaining for like 2 months straight or something stupid. And I remember looking at her, and I was like, ha, ha, that's so funny. Like, nobody can do that. And now I'm like, do you remember that? Like, that changed my life. Like, stop complaining. Stop telling yourself that you can't do things. Stop speaking death upon your business and your life and yourself, and speak only life. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, I don't think I can do blank. I don't know if I can do blank. I'm like, well, then you're already thinking it. So yeah, it's written. Like, stop. Do you know?
The interesting thing about complaining,
The
only things that you will ever find yourself complaining about are things that you can change. Yeah. Ever hear people complaining about gravity? You can't change gravity, so you don't complain about it. Do you ever hear people complaining about being broke? Guess what? You can change that. Do you ever hear people complaining about who they're married to?
Dang.
There's something, if you're complaining about it, there's something that you can do to change it. If you remember that, it's going to make you have a completely different perspective when you find yourself complaining.
Just like the prioritizing. Like, I'm not prioritizing, my hygiene, or like what you're talking. That's crazy. Like, you have so many good little nuggets that I hope people, because I'm typing some in the chat, but like, they're so good. And yeah, like what you tell yourself, and you're so right. Like if you can complain about something, you can change it. Like you can change it. I remember distinctively looking at her and I'm like, like that's all we do is complain, girlfriend. That ain't never gonna happen. And now I'm like like do not complain. Do not be negative. Try your best. Like try your best to be optimistic. That's what my post was about today. But so good. All these are so good. So I have a question from someone specifically, so we'll ask this real quick. So how do you work mostly from Instagram, right?
50-50 Facebook and Instagram.
Good. Okay, good. Then this is a good question. Okay. So what do you do when you're adding new people on Facebook and you're building, what did she say? How do you build that relationship with new friends on Facebook? Like, what is it that you do?
Honestly, I don't take a ton of time interacting on people's page as much as I should, because I know how easy it is to get sucked into Facebook stalking people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do is make sure that the people that you're adding, that you have something in common with them. Because if you have something in common with them, it's going to be so much easier to naturally form a friendship and a connection with them. Yeah. You know, so as an example, like so easy if you have a baby. But before I had a baby, like when I was a college student, I added other college students. When I was engaged, I added other people that were engaged. When I was a newlywed, I added other newlyweds. When I had dogs, I added other dog moms. When I was pregnant, I added other people that were pregnant, you know, and now I'm friends with moms that have girls that are the same age as mine. And so I think if you're a soccer mom, add other soccer moms. I think it's really cool the fact that we literally through hashtags, through groups can find people that we can connect with and have something in common. This is the example I love using. Have you ever been outside of the country?
No. Me? No.
Okay.
No.
So this is a fun example.
Okay.
In 2015, Taylor and I went to France for a vacation / tax write-off because we went to a Knitworks event. But so we go to France, go to Disneyland Paris, and I just remember, you know, it's so difficult being in another country where you don't speak the language, the weird, like the people are different, you can't understand what they're saying. So we go to Disneyland and people started speaking English, and immediately, just because we both spoke English, we liked them more because we had that connection with them. Okay, let me take it a step further. Then we met somebody that was also from the United States, and they spoke English, and we were both from the US, so we connected with them even more. And then we met another couple that was from Utah, right? So now we spoke the same language, we're from the same country, we're from the same state. We trusted them more just because we had those things in common with them. That's exactly what you need to be aware of when you're adding people on social media, is that the more things you have in common with them, the more they're going to trust you, and you're instantly going to build rapport. And if you have trust and rapport, then they'll purchase, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is sometimes if you're just like cold adding people, just like adding a bunch of random people that you don't know if you have a connection with them, then then you have to work harder to get that rapport. But if you know you have a connection with them, I'll just use this as an example. I'm in these mom groups for other moms that had babies born the same month and the same year that my baby was born. And so we all have that same thing in common, that our kids are all the same age, going through the same growth spurts, learning and developing around the same time frames. And so we all have that thing in common and something to talk to. So we immediately trust each other more. Same idea, but apply that into adding. So obviously Facebook groups, you can really pick and choose. And even on Instagram with hashtags, or like if you're a college student, find another college or go to your college and add the people that follow your college. Hashtags, places. If you absolutely love going to the musical or whatever, add people that go there too, you know.
That's so good. Like on Instagram, what I'll do is I love typing in like, oh, is she sleeping? What just happened? What? She just fell asleep?
Yeah.
In your arms?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were still holding her. I thought she disappeared. Now I feel like I have to whisper.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I'm like, I'm like, okay, everybody be quiet. Shh. My kids, they have to be in their bed. They have to. That's awesome. I'm like, it did get a little quiet. Okay, so I love it. She's so cute. When I go to Instagram, I will type in Grand Rapids Children's Museum, because there are so many people posting about the museum, and we're there all the time. So I'm like, follow. I'm probably going to actually run into you. And then we could be like, oh my God, it's you. So that's one thing I love to do on Instagram. And I'm not like you on Instagram, but Facebook, if you've got tattoos, you love Jesus, you got some kids, you're a little bit weird, I want to be friends with you. Like, we're going to mesh. We're going to get along. So, that was perfect. Yeah. Cause I don't really do a lot of, I'm like you, when I add people on Facebook, it isn't really that I go and like do all this investigating. I might say hi to them in the chat, but I just love that they're now seeing my posts. I'm getting new likes. I'm getting new comments. I get to reach out to them. That's the whole point, is you just want new people to reach out to. So now that it's almost 10, I'm going to ask you one last question, and it wasn't the one that I had planned, but can you talk about real quick to kind of end us out, because there are so many, and this will like change your business. So personal growth, and then this will change your business. How would you describe, just real quick, like a bad post and a good post on Facebook or Instagram? And yeah, can you do that?
Yeah. So before you push the post button, before you push the post button, ask yourself this question. If I saw this post in my newsfeed, would I be interested, or would I scroll right past it?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, don't post it. At the end of the day, stories sell, right? Think about the Bible. Think about the reason why the parables are so effective in teaching the principles is because he tells them in stories that people can relate to. Why is the little engine that could a story? Or the story of the little red hen, right? We tell stories to teach kids life lessons because they remember them. So tell stories in your posts because people remember them, people can relate to them, and put in your emotions. I think that's a big thing too. If you can be raw and vulnerable and emotional in your posts, you're gonna get people that connect to that. So now, especially that I'm a mom, like I can talk about like how do I phrase this? And moms will relate to this, you just have that moment sometimes where you just look down at them and you're like, oh my goodness, you deserve the entire world and I am not doing enough for you. Like, you just look at your kid and you just think that. Put that into words and post about it and say, if you've ever thought that way and you want to do more for your kids and have extra money to take them to the kids museum and take them to go get a drink, like, let's do this business together. Let's get you an extra $300 a month so you can spoil that sweet babe, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is tell stories, be vulnerable, and help people feel emotions that they can relate to you with. And this is something that's so true, and you'll notice this. Once you write a post, it was meant for one person. And you're going to have those moments that after you make a post, somebody's going to reach out and say, hey, I just saw your post and it was totally meant for me. I've had it happen a couple of times, and it made me realize like that literally every single post you write is for one person, whether they decide to reach out or not. Just know that they're still watching.
That is so good. And that's exactly once I learned, because if I look at my 5 years ago today at my posts, I'm like, gross. Yep. Oh my God, why did I think that was okay? That's not okay. No one stopped and liked that. That is not a likable post. But I found that if you can put a real attractive picture about what you're talking about, like a picture of you and your kid, and then you just describe like exactly a story and make someone feel that, they're going to be like, dang, okay, all right. And you all of a sudden get that inbox and you're like, whoa, I had no idea that you were going to do that, but cool. I love that advice. You have really, I knew you did, but you have really good advice. You are awesome. And no wonder you are about to go triple on your 2.0. That's so cool. But you've been so real, dude. You've been awesome. And we are so thankful that you got on and talked with us tonight. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. I'm so glad we got to meet, I guess, through Zoom officially. Now, next time I see you at conference or something, I won't be weirded out about saying hello. I didn't want to come up to you and Taylor because I'm like, they are dealing with their kid. I do not want to be that person. She doesn't even know who I am. So now I won't be so weird about it. But you're awesome. Okay, everybody, hop on the family call, which starts in about 5 minutes. And it's going to be awesome. It's the first family call of the month. So I hope that you guys will watch it live. And if you don't, you can always watch the replay. But thank you so much again, Jocelyn. We appreciate you.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you too. Bye, guys. Have a good night.